Welcome, guys, to another episode of the Christian Buddy Show. It gives me much pleasure to introduce my guest now. Now, how would you, just before we jump into today's show, are you going by the name Tash or Tharshini, or how do you want me to
You can
play
call me
that?
Tash. It's all good.
All right.
Easy.
So I want to unpack heaps of stuff. You've got me intrigued. 5D consciousness. I am so curious about this, and I'm happy that I've got you on the show because I'm happy to go super deep into that and anything else that crops up. So, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. I've been quite busy, so it's been good just to stop right now and just do this with you and just slow down a little bit.
No worries. All good. So, what is 5D consciousness?
Yeah.
The audience wants to know.
Well, that's kind of what we're moving into right now. So I don't know if you've heard of 3D consciousness. Obviously, that's kind of where we're at. No? Okay. So if you think about just more on the human plane, where we're living right now, the way our lives are going, how we're so in the mind, the way we're living is very 3D. Okay, so we're not really moving into really higher states of consciousness unless you're, into spirituality, you're meditating, you're doing other energy work to kind of get you into higher states of consciousness. For the majority of us, we're still in a lower vibration when we're living in 3D consciousness because we can't see beyond, right? We're actually just living, we think that our life is just going to work, making money, buying objects, looking after our children, and we're not actually tapping into the full part of our human body. There is so much more that's going on within our system that we don't actually understand. A lot of people don't even know how to, use this human body. And that's why a lot of people are getting sick. We've got a lot of problems with health at the moment. More and more people are getting anxiety, depression. It's becoming a really big problem.
Do you think it's really that bad, or do you think the media portrays that we're in this bad spot? Like, I feel like we're in a good spot. Like, what's your opinion on that? Like the general population, do you think that more and more people are becoming depressed, or?
Yeah, I mean, look, I can't really go into the COVID stuff because I'm not legally allowed to speak about it, being a Chinese doctor. You can get a sort of red code against my name. So when it comes to that, that's a whole nother ball game. But when it comes to anxiety and depression, yeah, it is definitely on the rise. And what I see in clinic, because obviously I treat so many patients weekly and I'm connecting with them on a more personal level, I'm finding that anxiety and depression is something that is becoming a big problem, and doctors are prescribing antidepressants like it's candy. So a lot of people aren't actually dealing with anything. They're just going to the doctors and getting medicated, not learning how to deal with anything. And what I'm finding even with young kids is a lot of them are actually experiencing anxiety, depression in their teens, and even some of them even younger than that. So it is definitely becoming a bigger problem. We have more stress. We're having more chemicals in our environment. We're having really bad diets. We're working longer hours, less sleep. So yeah, it is. It's definitely becoming a bigger problem.
How do we slow down? What's the end goal? Like, why do you think, what's your opinion? Why do you think as a society we're drawn to the quick fix? We're drawn to instant gratification. What's your opinion on that?
I mean, I think we've always been like that. It's one of those things that we're still not understanding ourselves. We're still wanting instant gratification because we're not actually living in truth. We're not actually learning all the other aspects of the human body, the mind, the body, the spirit, the soul, the heart consciousness. If we got taught this from schooling, it would be a very different thing. But even at school, we're not taught this. We're taught to go to school, get education, work really hard, make money. Where kind of society has shaped us to be like this. Even when I see patients come and see me in clinic, they think that they might have had chronic fatigue or digestive issues for 10 years, 5 years, whatever. And they come in for an acupuncture session with me thinking they will be fixed in one session. And that's just not realistic, right? Because we want that straight away. We want results straight away. And the human body just doesn't work like that. It's over time that we've done all this damage, and it comes from our childhood. the way our parents were with us. It's all shaped us to be like this. Yeah.
And touching on that point, that's your specialty. So I'm gonna butch this. I'm gonna stuff this up. But you're like a womb doctor. And before we continue, I want to read out a quote. You posted this on social media, and I thought it was beautiful. So I'm gonna read it out. So, women, how much prejudice towards the very womb that bears us. Though there are claims of men being born without a father, there is no instance of a birth without a mother. No society can exist or flourish without empowering the feminine. And that's from Sadhguru. Now, much respect to Sadhguru. I love that dude. He is so wise. And yeah, it kind of like, it's like, for me, that quote means treat your mum with respect. Like treat your mother with respect. So yeah, I'm very beginner in this area. So this is your passion, right? This is your life calling, right? Is this your purpose?
Yeah, 100%. I'm definitely on purpose. I mean, the womb medicine stuff is really, for me, it's really empowering women. I work a lot with women who experience gynecological issues, hormonal issues, all the different stages in a woman's life, from their first period to fertility to then menopause. I also help men as well to help them improve their sperm quality, to create better, healthy babies. I help with, anxiety, depression, life purpose work. And so a lot of that I do through Chinese medicine, herbal medicine, and supplements. And then I also do all of my spiritual work. So I do a lot of the spiritual healing around the womb and activations. So that's all my global work that I do around the world.
Wow, that's awesome. And okay, so I just want to float an idea with you. So, like, let's say I'm in a stage of my life where I want to have a child, right? Let's say I'm in that stage of my life, and do you think that all the things that go through my life, they're passed down to the child unconsciously?
Yes. Yes.
They are.
This is a very juicy topic because we don't understand how many imprints are passed into us when we're actually in the womb of our mother. So every child has been born by the womb, so every single child has been imprinted from their lineage. And when you were growing inside your mother's womb for 9 months, depending on how she was feeling, depending on how healthy she was, how her relationship with your dad was at the time, was she being supported? Was she feeling quite a lot of anxiety or fear? Did she even want you? Were you in an accident? You were feeling all of that as a baby through her blood, through her amniotic fluids, and it was being encoded with you. And so a lot of us don't realize that when I take women or when I take men back into their healing process, we'll find that a lot of the trauma began when they were in the womb of their mother. So it's really crucial to ask your mother your birth story. What happened? Did she have a good pregnancy? Was it a, really hard birth? All of those things are really good to find out.
I think I almost killed my mum when I was pregnant when I came out. So I don't know what that means. Maybe that's the yeah. Well, okay, that's an exaggeration, but I know it was pretty intense birth. From memory that's what I've been told. So maybe I wanted to stay in there a little bit longer. Maybe I didn't. Maybe there was some nice TV or some nice food in there that I was eating, and I didn't want to come out. I don't know. So okay. What about past life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a weird thing calling it past life, which I don't like to call it because I don't believe in space and all of that. But we'll call it past life for people to kind of understand it more easily.
Okay.
There's many versions of you out in the world in different dimensions. It's all happening simultaneously. And you can actually tap into different lives, different lives where you may have been a soldier, where you might have been a doctor or a housewife, or, you've lived many, many lives. And so when I work with patients and I start to notice that they are holding a lot of trauma, so for example, someone might be having drug and alcohol issues, or they might have depression, or they might have fertility issues. And that could be because of a past life trauma. It might be that, for example, your husband went out to war and died, and you had 6 children, and you told yourself on a soul level, I never want to have children, right? Because it was so traumatic for you. Or you might have gone in war and you might have died. Someone might have stabbed you. Or you might have actually had drug and alcohol issues in that life and you actually died from it. These are all trauma that have been held within the cells and the memory of your DNA and within the tissues of your body, within the nervous system. And so when you go back into a similar situation again, or where you connect with someone from your past life that you meet, in the instances where you meet someone, you're like, oh my God, like I just get along with you. I just know you. You feel familiar to me. This is because you've had lives with them before. And so you can be triggered in that way, or a memory might come through your body where it would actually shut down and cause problems as well. Or you might have had beautiful lives where you were amazing and you were a goddess and all of these things. But it's just that we've had many, many timelines, many, many lives. You know, for me, when I've journeyed inside my own womb through deep states of meditation, I've seen myself in all different things. I've seen myself as an African healer. I've seen myself back in Egypt, where I used to do sound healings through the pyramids and heal people's bodies. I saw myself back in Atlantis manipulating DNA.
Can I just stop you there? Sorry. Sorry to intercept you there. With the meditation, can you run me through that? Like, what type of meditation are you doing to get to these states?
Yeah. I'm not, it's one of those things. I haven't been taught meditation. It's something that I do teach. But I mean, there's so much great stuff on YouTube now that you can kind of Google. There's so many different types of meditation. For me personally, the way I was able to go into deep states of meditation was from my own trauma. So a lot of us are holding on to post-traumatic stress from childhood, from our relationships, from, you know, all sorts of things that happen to us through life and work and all of it. And a lot of us don't want to deal with it. You know, we try and get away from it. Whereas what I did was I went straight into it from from my early 20s. Like, I'm 36 now, and I started really going deep, deep, deep in my 20s because of the trauma that I had experienced in my childhood. And going through that process and really sitting with it, you know, I would sit in my trauma for hours. You know, I would have all the lights off. I'd be crying for 3 hours. I would really allow my body to feel everything without shutting anything down. And the more I did that, and the more I started working with other healers instead of the normal way that you would go through counseling and other things like that, that didn't work for me because I knew a lot of my trauma. I was very logical. I was very good at pinpointing all the things that were creating trauma in my body. So that's not what I needed. I needed someone to work with my energy to go deeper to help me understand my body better. And so that's the way I did it. And as I started to heal on a deeper, deeper level, my body started to move frequency and energy in a way that I hadn't experienced before. And that's when I went into the state of doing meditation, where I could sit in meditative states for hours and hours and hours in complete stillness, without music, without anything, just with my body. And I would ask my body to show me and guide me into different places. And that's when it opened up and I started seeing visions.
What were those visions?
Everything. So I literally saw inside my womb. It took me into my womb, and, you know, my body was telling me that your womb is a source of creation. It is where you lived in darkness before you entered into the light. It was where the soul became a physical body. And my womb was able to connect to the source of creation. So women could access this portal to go into the cosmos, to go into Mother Earth and feel the heartbeat of Mother Earth through my womb. And that's what I was experiencing. It was insane. Like, everything was opening up. It felt like my whole womb became the room. It was incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the equivalent of that in males? Like, would it be like the pelvis area? Like, is that fair to say? Or I mean, that's what am I trying to ask here? I'm trying to ask, like, what's the equivalent of that to males? Like,
yeah. I mean, for males, it's through the hara. So we say through the digestion, you can go through that area as well. The Kundalini is really powerful as well. So at the base of the coccyx bone as well, activating that with the hara. But I mean, the things that I see when a man and a woman can come together, and even getting your partner, if you do have a woman in your life, even just sitting on, like lying your head on her, you know, not in a sexual way, but just resting it there. Feel how connected you feel. You feel like home. There's a centering that happens. And if she invites you, allowing you to meditate there. I also teach men to focus on the moon cycles. So a woman's womb is very connected to the lunar cycles of the moon. So there's for most women, they'll either get their period or ovulate on a full moon or a new moon. So during that time, a lot of women will be connected to the moon. So if you actually meditate around that time, you're connecting to all of the feminine energy around the world. And that's really powerful to help you go back to your mother's womb even, right? Because you've been imprinted with so much trauma. You want to reconnect into that area, and you can do that through the moon cycles and also meditating on the earth. So with Mother Earth.
Mother Earth, yeah.
Mother Earth, yeah.
Wow, okay. Where do you get your strength from? Because, and the reason I asked that question is because, I don't know, maybe that's just first impression of you. Maybe, yeah, you seem like a strong person. So that's why I'm asking that question. I'm happy for you to take it in any direction, but yeah, that's my question to you. Where do you get your strength from?
Yeah, I mean, look, I used to not be very strong. I think as I've gotten older and I started to really heal so much of my trauma where it doesn't create these reactions. You know, I talk a lot about this on women empowerment conferences that I do, that sharing a story is really powerful for women. And a lot of us are kind of just keeping everything at bay and don't have the real support. And I didn't have that growing up. You know, I went through a lot of problems with my family being a Sri Lankan woman, a lot of repression. I didn't have a voice. There was a lot of violence. I was raped as well by my father at the age of 7. So I went through a lot of cultural issues where I had no rights. I couldn't speak up. I was hit if I tried to speak up. But there was always something within me that was quite resilient. And I always had that little bit more courage where I didn't want to put up with any crap anymore for my lineage, for my ancestors, for my mother, for all of the women that came before me. I wasn't going to put up with that. So I remember at the age of 15, one of my uncles was actually hitting my mum really badly. And I then ended up calling the police and getting a restraining order against my uncle. And that brought a lot of hell to our family, especially from a cultural sense as well, because it was a dishonor to your elders. But I think from that experience, it taught me that it doesn't matter what your age is. It doesn't matter what you've gone through. You've got to speak up. You've got to stop.
Yeah, for sure.
And that gave me the fuel, I think, as I've transitioned through all different stages of my life and really gone into women's health. I realized that so many women and men are suffering from violence, from abuse, from trauma. And it gave me the courage to keep working through my stuff, to get to a place where I have no anger towards my dad anymore. I have no sadness towards my dad that he raped me. I actually have unconditional love in my heart as if he had never raped me. That's how far my healing has gotten. So that
wow, that's true power. That's true power right there. Like unconditional love. Yeah, absolutely.
And
wow.
That's not an easy thing to do. And a lot of people won't be able to do that. And that's okay. But what I'm trying to say is that when I've been able to get to that place, it's helped me to feel non-judgment for humanity, for those who do bad things. Because if we are to judge them harshly, that's not the way we're going to shift the world. It's actually going to come from unconditional love. Like love is the superpower to change the world and societies. And that heals more than anything else. When people come to me and they've, you know, cheated on their wives or done these things or having feelings for other people or taking drugs or whatever, one of the hardest things for them is that they get judged. You know, they don't want to get help because they're scared that they're not going to be honoured or respected with their actions. And you know what? We've all done bad things, all of us. All different scales of that, but there's things that people don't know about us that we don't ever want to share because we're embarrassed and we don't want people to judge us. So we've all been there. So who am I to judge you in your moment of weakness? You know what I mean? We've all done bad things in our past lives, and some things that you don't want to remember, and I see you patient. That's okay. The
Yeah,
good side is okay.
yeah. Yep. And speaking of global consciousness, yeah, because you kind of touched into that point of shifting mankind to a much more loving state. And I just wanted to maybe float that idea with you. So, yeah, how can we help mankind? Is it by simply loving each other, or like, is there, how can we help mankind? How can we,
Yeah.
sorry?
So really, it all begins with you. Just on you. That's what you need to do to end suffering in the world. You must end suffering within yourself. That's the gift. And as we were talking about earlier, the 5D consciousness, that's where we're moving to now. So the planet, the earth, the grid lines of the earth, where the crystalline grids of the earth are all shifting. Mother Gaia is shifting energetically. And the vibration of humanity is actually rising. And this happened at the start, near the end of last year. Even though we're all going through so much trauma with the world and what's happening at the moment, that's okay. It's about not feeding into it. Don't feed into the collective consciousness of fear. That's really important as everyone's vibrations are rising. Otherwise, you're going to find it hard to adjust. So more people are switching on now. So more people are becoming more connected to their energy. They're starting to have spiritual awakenings now. They're starting to feel more intuitive with other people. They're having more prophetic dreams, or you might dream of someone and then you meet them and you see them. That's happening more often now. We're really going towards a golden age now. We're calling it the golden age. Back, it's the old civilizations where humanity worked in oneness, in union, in love. That's where we're moving to right now. But as this is happening and the frequencies are changing on the planet, what's happening is that the human body is kind of finding it hard to adjust, right? It's kind of like a radio station when we change different frequencies to get different radio stations. It's kind of similar in the spirit world, where you can fine-tune your frequency and then you become psychic. You can fine-tune your frequency and you can speak to the people who have passed over, who are dead. You change your frequency and you can start to open up the body in different ways. These are different frequencies that we're adjusting, because we know that the universe is just a vibration of frequencies and vibrational sounds. So when we can break that down, our bodies will actually adjust. So listening to frequency music, solfeggio frequencies are really good. Like, these are all things that will help relax our human body as it starts to heal. But not only that, we need to know that it's very normal at the moment for people to get more headaches as your body's upgrading. That's very common. That's happening at the moment. People are having digestive issues, more bloating, constipation, fatigue, low energy. It's all normal. We're getting more aches and pains as the muscles and the ligaments are adjusting and our DNA is switching on. That's normal. We're feeling a little bit more insomnia, where we're waking up throughout the night. Some of us are even waking up at 3 a.m, and 3 a.m. is actually a really powerful time that we're not realizing, because the earth is moving at a certain frequency at 3 a.m. And same with nature, Mother Earth, the animals, spirit. Everything is becoming very alive at that time. So if you're waking up at 3 a.m, that's spirit speaking to you. That's your body moving into a higher upgrade. So meditate during that time and you'll see yourself open up so much more, or do breath work or whatever. Yeah, 5 a.m. sunrise is more important, but 3 a.m. is important.
Does sleep count as meditation? Because I just want to hit that snooze alarm. You kind of, that was a trick question. But okay, cool. Thank you for sharing that. Now, what's my next question? Food. So you touched on digestive problems.
Mhm.
I guess everybody's different, and this is not going to cover everybody, but yeah, I'm going to ask you a very open question, and you can take me anywhere. Food. Can you expand on that area, please?
Sure. So one of the things that I tell a lot of my patients globally when they come in to do DNA activations with me and when I switch on their light codes is that we must get the body in a high frequency, right? The reason why you're feeling more tired, more emotional, more anxiety, more fear, all of these things is because your frequency is low. So we can increase that with our diet. And one of the main things is that you're probably noticing in the world more and more people are becoming vegan, right? Or they're becoming vegetarian. And yes, it's also to help humanity, to help our planet, but also it's to change our frequency because meat actually holds the highest amount of fear, right? Think about how these animals and how they're killed. No matter how organic you want to make it, grass-fed, yes, it's going to be better, but at the end of the day, you're killing the animal. It's still going to create fear in the animal and it's going to spread through its bloodstream, right? And
Yeah.
you're going to eat that. So even in India, the cow is such a sacred animal because when they're so connected to it, because it's also an animal where they've noticed that when the owner becomes sick or where they found that the owners pass away, the cows will start to shed tears, right? It is so connected emotionally to us. And you're eating that animal, you're eating all of its emotions. So it is very important to really treat our animals similar to the way we treat our dogs and our cats. We have so much unconditional love in our pets, yet we don't have that for our animals and what they're doing for our ecosystem and what they're providing for us. So really, I understand that a lot of us want to eat meat, and I'm not saying go vegetarian. That's the way, but reduce your intake. Reduce your intake of meat. Go towards more vegetarian foods that are going to be more wholesome. Fruit and veggies are really high in water content. So when it's high in water content, we can change the frequency of that fruit or veggie very quickly. Water holds memory. We know this. Dr. Emoto was a great Japanese scientist who proved this over and over again with water molecules, where they found that when they said positive words into the water, it would change into these beautiful crystalline particles of water. And when you said, I hate you into it, it would go ugly and dark. So words was so powerful in water. And it remembered how it was treated. And Sadhguru also speaks about this around water and how it's being treated, especially when we drink water straight out of the taps. Obviously, if it's not being filtered, it's not great because of a lot of the, all of the crap that's actually in water. So we want to be using filters to pretty much clear out all of those, all of the water from any impurities. And also remember that if you're using a filter and you're putting your water straight under the tap to be filtered, wait, don't just drink the water straight away. Let it settle because it's been going through all these different pipes to get to your tap, and therefore it's gone into trauma, the water. And so it remembers again how it was treated. You need to slow the water down. You need to put intention into the water. What do you want it for? You want it to hydrate your body, increase the frequency of love, charge your system up. Your body is 72% water. It is very much needed that we connect to water in this way. So when you're eating your food, connect to it, because at the end of the day, even if you're eating organic, if someone's touched the veggies, which they have before you've touched it, from where you're buying it, if they're in a really low frequency and they're really angry and they're picking up your veggies and putting it into an area because they hate their job, you're going to feel that intuitively, you're going to feel energetically. That's why we say cook with love. You can feel it.
It tastes better as well.
Yeah. Because it's true. And, a lot of us in the old days, we used to pray. People who are quite religious would pray before they eat. Now, this is a beautiful practice because it actually is to honor the food, to high vibration. So become conscious. When was the last time you actually just paid attention to your meal before you ate it and said, thank you, because you're going to literally grow this human body for me, rejuvenate, repair this human body for me. That food is
Yeah, for sure.
for you.
For
How cool.
sure.
And then really making sure that after you looking after what you're eating, cutting down on all your processed foods. When you're eating things out of a can, you're drinking and you're eating all of those heavy metals. And that's putting a burden on our liver at the moment, which is causing all sorts of havoc. So we want to get our liver system functioning really well with detoxifying foods. The green leafy veggies are going to be great. Your cruciferous veggies like broccoli are going to be great. A lot of us are drinking alcohol, so we need to really look after our liver. So that's probably what I would go for to begin with, and cutting
Mm.
pesticides and chemicals, and then moving away from like dairy products and gluten as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of content in that, and it's interesting that you mentioned that, because like recently I had a person that only eats carnivore diet, and it's interesting. I'm kind of in the middle. I'm kind of on the fence. I know I should really take a side, but I'm kind of on the fence because I still eat meat and I try to reduce my intake. I'm conscious of that. I mean, yeah, I don't think if like it's like this example. If you're a meat eater, if you had like a blade or a knife, would you go out and kill a cow in front of you to eat it? I don't think I could. I don't think I could do that. I mean, I think if my life depended on it, then maybe I would. But our life doesn't really come to that stage. Like, we're not savages. We're not we're not animals ourselves. So yeah, I guess it's just interesting just looking at all the different perspectives of life, because yeah, I feel like what you're preaching, or what you're putting, what the message is, very holistic. It's very natural, and I respect that. I respect that message.
Yeah.
And
At the end of the day, I haven't gone completely vegetarian. I am probably 90% of my diet is vegan, but every now and again, I feel sometimes my body actually needs iron. A lot of women are bleeding as well, and for men as well who are training and need more protein and things like that. That's okay. Like, it's okay to have meat when you need to, but listen to your body. Like, actually connect with your body and ask, do I need meat today? Right? Like, if we could actually listen to our body in what it needs, we would operate from a really different level. But at the same time, it's just that we haven't been taught that. We haven't been taught how to connect into our bodies of what our body is actually needing in that moment.
have you ever tried intermittent fasting?
Yes, I have. And I do like it. Intermittent fasting is really good. It's not always for everyone. It just depends on your health, what you're doing. If you're going through fertility, for example, I don't always encourage it because it can affect our hormones as well. So it just really, really depends on each person. I do find that, you don't want to obviously go intermittent fasting and then just have like this one huge giant meal that's going to be like the serving of 3 or 4 meals. So it's just like eating the right foods. I do like sort of eating from like 10 o'clock, so 10 a.m., having a meal, and then having another meal at like 5. I don't always do this, but that's a good amount of time as well for if you wanted to break it down into 2 meals, and with that intermittent fasting as well.
And with Chinese medicine, like, I'm curious on that. So you studied like, you obviously got a bit of background into that. So what's the idea of what's the concept of the general concept of Chinese medicine?
Well, Chinese medicine's been around for thousands of years, right? So that's the beauty of it. Whereas Western medicine's only been around for a couple of hundred years. Yet we look at that as law, that it's everything. And there's so many Eastern philosophies out there, and so many different tribes and cultures are amazing. And so Chinese medicine is beautiful because it's really like a philosophy. We're looking at the body intertwined with the mind, body, and spirit and our emotions. It's all one. They're not in separation. And we don't look at the darkness of our emotions and the joys of our emotions or anything in separation. Everything's actually in unity. And this is shown a lot in that yin yang symbol, right? That the darkness is within the light and the light is within the darkness. And you can't have either one without. It's the sun and the moon. That's that yin yang energy, right? The dark and the light. So really with Chinese medicine, what I really love is that when we go into acupuncture, there are so many different channel pathways along the body that relate to different organ systems. So for example, the lung channel pathway would go from like the thumb, and it will move all the way up through the body into the chest. And along that pathway, there'll be lots of different acupuncture points that do different things, different functions, right? Some of them might be to clear phlegm. Some of them might be to tonify the immune system. Some of them might be to clear heat, right? Because we might be getting a fever or something. And some of them are also the emotional points of the lungs, because every organ has an emotion. And when it's not in balance, we're going to feel it more. So the lung is sadness, it's grief, it's loss. And so I can feel which organ systems are really out of balance by feeling your pulse. So you have 3 superficial pulses and 3 deep on both sides of the wrist. And an acupuncturist will actually feel them, or a Chinese medicine practitioner will feel them, to feel how each organ feels, to tell you what's going on with your internal organs and what blockages might be happening. And then we look at your tongue, and then your tongue is like a map of the body where all of the organs also expresses. So depending on the color, the shape, the coating, where it's positioned as well, will tell us again what's going on with the organs. And so what we then do is create like a prescription of points that is going to help to rebalance the body, because this is all about your body healing naturally. And that's what I love about Chinese medicine, that they're doing that through those pathways.
So, sorry, I just want to intercept. Sorry to cut you off there, but so acupuncture. So you're trained in acupuncture, and I'm just fascinated about that. So because I had acupuncture once, and I remember, so the guy was, he was putting the needles in, and all of a sudden I felt like my muscle twinge, like So can you expand more into that area of acupuncture?
Yeah, sure. So you've got all of these beautiful places in the body where there are these acupuncture point gateways where a lot of qi resides. It's like what you would have felt is that what we call the de qi, right? So when we put the needle in there, and it doesn't have to be very deep, it can be quite superficial, and you'll actually feel the energy underneath the body or underneath the point pull the needle, right? So that's all that qi buildup. And so when we actually activate that, it can activate the whole neural pathways of the body. It can release endorphins in the body if you're, going there for sort of pain management. It can clear out blockages. It can help build blood. It can help tonify blood. It can remove stagnation. It can literally move and tonify these organ systems that are out of imbalance. So you're working on the organ level, you're working on the muscle level, you're working on the emotional level, the brain level, and even with fertility and womb medicine, all these channel pathways run through the womb and around the womb. So when we're activating it, we don't even need to necessarily put needles in the area that you're getting pain, because that channel pathway can go from your head all the way down to your feet. So sometimes when I would get patients in pain, I'd put needles in their hands and I'd go, okay, now stand up and walk. They'd be like, oh my gosh, the pain's gone. What's going on? So quick. And I'm like, it's these channel pathways. And so, back in those days, how they figured out these channel pathways is these monks would meditate, and they started seeing these channels all through the body from their head to toe. And that's how we started investigating on a deeper level. And it's only really now that Chinese medicine is really becoming more and more common. Give me 1 second. I feel like my laptop's going to die. Just charge it.
All right, guys. So we are currently in the interview, and I'm solo right now. So maybe I can just sing a song or something.
Okay.
All right. All good.
We're all good.
No worries.
Sorry, where was that at? I actually forgot now.
Chinese medicine. You were talking about.
The points. Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, so they can do lots of different things. And so it's really good because what doctors may not understand is that, you may go to the doctor going, I'm really sick, right? And I'm getting bleeding gums and I've got a sore back. And they'll look at that in separation. They'll go, okay, well, maybe you've got this going on. Maybe you need to get tablets for this. Whereas in Chinese medicine, we'll know the link. All of it will
Yeah.
the same organ that's out of balance. So it's really quite powerful when you actually have that experience and get educated into what imbalances are going on in your body, so it empowers you. So I'm all about education with a lot of my patients. I like to give them lots of detail into what's going on and really empower them, because I don't want them coming to see me forever. I want them to be able to walk away and go, you're the doctor. You are the doctor of your life. And you just need to listen to your body to connect in that way. So acupuncture is one gateway that we can use.
For sure. And okay, what about the topic of dreams? And do you believe that dreams are just random occurrences in the brain and just chemicals, or is there much more meaning towards a dream?
Look, I personally believe there is. For everyone, it might be a little bit different. But, from a Chinese medicine perspective, we say that the hun, right, so it's the soul, resides its home in the liver, actually. And at night time, while the hun it comes into our dreams, our soul moves and allows us to journey through our dreams. And here, it's all those things that you may have not brought to your awareness that your deep subconscious is bringing up in your dreams. So sometimes we have dreams that come up, they feel really real to us, or you might actually have dreams where you see someone that you haven't seen in ages and then you bump into them. So something on a much deeper level is actually really going on. And a lot of the time as we move through into our own spirituality, because you are a spiritual person, you are energy, spirituality is personal development on every level. And one thing that I do notice with a lot of my patients is they'll get prophetic dreams. They'll get guided through their dreams. They'll get new visions. They'll create. They'll get new inspiration. Our dreams allows us to move into a different state of our consciousness. So we can really tap into all these amazing things that we're not able to in our consciousness. And, there are some amazing Buddhist monks. There's some amazing people that do all sorts of stuff through their dreams, like astral traveling and, really healing the human body. And, there's so much amazing stuff that we can do where we can actually connect to our dreams. And some people even control their dreams, so they can actually know they're dreaming and actually control it to the point where they can actually heal the body. So it's pretty incredible. And monks can do this.
So astral projection. So that's almost like you're in full control of your dream and you can navigate to different areas. Is that what you mean by astral projection?
Not always. So some people can do that, some people can't. So it just really, it really what it kind of feels like is that astral traveling is when you're kind of like lying on your bed, you're kind of getting a little bit sleepy, you're kind of like in sleep and not quite yet. And as you're kind of slowly going into your sleep, into dream state, your body feels like it's floating. So you actually physically feel like you're coming out of your body, and that's when people start to freak out because they're like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? But actually you're then moving, your soul is actually moving out of your body and it's moving into the cosmos, it's moving into the universe.
Would you say you have to like let go? You have to let go of that scared feeling, that paranoia that you're going to, I don't know, fall out of bed or something, or you have to trust that? Because I've had that before, like when I'm just about to sleep and then, I'm in that stage where I'm in between sleep and dreaming, and then I wake up because, it's an uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah.
Do you have to just let it go, or how do you get into that? What's the best way to get into that?
Well, and when I say letting go, it's a big one because that's actually one of the emotions of the liver, right? It's part of your soul. It's part of the hun. It's literally let go. Stop controlling. You're trying to control. And this is going to be reflected in your life. How much do you control your life and need things done in a certain way? And how often do you just let go and surrender and trust in the flow? A lot of us are not taught how to exercise this energy and what's really going on. And so we get really scared. We're scared of the unknown, and that's so totally normal. But when you start trusting your body, trusting your soul, and asking for inner guidance, really asking your spirit team, your guides, your higher self to anchor into your heart and say, look, protect me, allow me to feel safe, allow me to do this with ease, allow me to transition without feeling fear, with confidence, with courage, right? Allow and just see what could happen, because it's pretty amazing when you just allow. And it's becoming, like I said to you, as we move into 5D consciousness, this is going to be becoming more and more normal. So it's something that we really need to learn how to really work with. And that's why meditation and practices that will allow your body to move to higher frequencies will allow you not to feel so scared, right? Or go to a teacher or a guide that can really help you with that process as it's happening.
For sure. Yeah. And okay. So we've kind of covered off food, dreams, and a bit of 5D consciousness, meditation. And okay, is there anything else you feel like you would like to cover as well? Or I think we've pretty much covered everything at this stage.
I feel like we went through here really quickly, didn't we?
Yeah, no, that's all right. I mean, that's all good. And how can people how can people connect with you? How can people reach you? Let's say if they have any issues fertility wise or any other in that realm, like how can they connect with you? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I mean, you can connect me through my website. So it's fertileseedsoflife.com. Otherwise, I do a lot of work on social media. So you can connect to me through social media, through Instagram. My Instagram business page is Dr._Tharshini, so it is my full name, or on my Facebook as well. Or you can just reach me through email as well, like Tharshini@fertileseedsoflife.com. I do my work all around the world, so I do help couples everywhere, so there's no restriction with that. And when we go into the womb medicine journey of the healing around that, that's really deep. That's really going into a lot of trauma. Some women, even in their past timeline or through their lineage of their ancestors, there's been a lot of rape, there's been a lot of violence, there's been a lot of shutting down of women's voices, there's been stillbirths, there's been miscarriages, there's been death, there's been so much, and that is still being held in the womb, and it's creating this muffleness where we're not feeling centered as women, we're not feeling connected, we're not feeling grounded, and so therefore we're not actually feeling safe. And when we heal the womb, it holds the heart in place. It is the soil of the earth. It is literally like Mother Earth's soil. That's our womb. And when that's strong, it holds us in our place, but also we're able to connect to our inner voice, because the womb is the original primal voice of a woman. And you will start to hear the voice of your womb speak to you through the healing. So I really encourage, when anyone goes through self-love journey, you always come back to the womb, because that is the source. It is the source of creation right there. So it's really, really important.
Okay. I think I will end the show on that note. That was a beautiful note to end the show on. And thanks, guys, for watching. Please subscribe to my show, Kristian Buddy Show, on YouTube. So with that said, enjoy your day and thanks for watching. Thank you.
Thanks.